Disagreeing with feminists on Twitter could be made illegal in Canada, with a man facing 6 months in jail after 2 prominent social justice warriors claimed that his dissent represented criminal harassment. And no, this is not a headline out of The Onion. This is an actual case in Toronto. And whether you're vehemently anti or pro-feminist, it threatens to set a frightening precedent for free speech online. Father of 4 Greg Elliot was arrested in 2012 and fired from his job as a graphic designer after he opposed Steph Guthrie and Heather Riley's plan to generate, quote, hatred on the internet, targeting the designer of an online video game which allowed players to simulate punching feminist blogger Anita Sarkeesian in the face. Elliot felt that the 2 activists' plot to publicly shame the young man was, quote, every bit as vicious as the face punch game and could cause the young man to commit suicide, urging Guthrie and Riley not to follow through. Guthrie and Riley then claimed that Elliot's refusal to endorse the plot, after he had previously helped Guthrie's feminist group by offering to design a free poster, represented criminal harassment. As award-winning journalist Christy Blanchford points out, Elliot is facing a prison sentence for what amounts to disagreeing with feminist political viewpoints.
Basically what he did was disagree politically with these young women. He didn't call them names, he didn't, sexually harass them or anything. He just disagreed with some of their politics.
If Elliot is convicted, this sets the chilling precedent that merely claiming you felt threatened on Twitter with no evidence of malice or intent whatsoever is enough to secure a charge of criminal harassment. And as this case illustrates, feminists actually think that daring to disagree with them on Twitter represents threatening harassment.
And I guess the bottom line of the allegation here is that if the alleged target of tweets or presumably Instagram or any of the other social media feels as though you're harassing them, maybe you are harassing them. I find it an astonishing concept, actually, that just because I might feel a certain way, that would make it so.
And it's understandable if you think that I'm missing out a portion of the story here where Elliot stalked, threatened, or hurled sexually abusive insults at Guthrie and Riley. But I'm not. In fact, Toronto Police Detective Jeff Bangill testified in court that Elliot made no remarks of a threatening or sexual nature whatsoever aimed at Guthrie and Riley. No hate speech, no violent rhetoric, no physical stalking whatsoever. Nothing at all. And Guthrie herself acknowledged this in court. The very worst comments that Elliot made in reference to the feminists was to indirectly call Riley fat and tag them in his own tweets after they had blocked him. 6 months in jail for calling someone fat and tagging them in tweets. Really? Another of Elliot's dangerous thought crimes was to tweet, quote, blaming the majority of normal men for rape is wrong. A statement with which Guthrie angrily disagreed in court, pounding her fist on the table. And the astounding thing about this case is that Elliot himself was clearly subjected to harassment by Guthrie and Riley when the 2 activists sent him a barrage of hateful tweets. Another supporter of Guthrie and Riley even pretended to be a 13-year-old girl to try and frame Elliot as a paedophile. What we're seeing here is the culmination of years of Twitter outrage mobs and social justice warriors abusing their newfound power to publicly shame individuals with whom they disagree. But ruining people's lives, getting them fired from their jobs, harming their careers, destroying their relationships via the kangaroo court of Twitter mob justice is no longer enough. Now they actually want to physically incarcerate people for having a different opinion or, God forbid, offending someone. The feminists at the Vancouver Slutwalk who confronted Lauren Southern for daring to challenge their notion that there was a rape culture in the West must be rubbing their hands together with glee. Even in the 18th and 19th centuries, At the height of the era of public shamings, people were allowed to go free after they had been flogged for their transgressions. But in the 21st century cyber dictatorship of so-called tolerant liberals, it's not enough to publicly shame the thought criminal. Now they must be locked up as an example to others. Check out the other videos, subscribe to the channel. I'm Paul Joseph Watson for Infowars.com.
What?